Assalamualaikum everyone, good day and welcome to our first training seminar for our teachers at NAS International College. So I am your trainer today, Miss Aisha. Okay, so we'll be talking about classroom management rules for your elementary and secondary teachers. I hope that this will be going to be helpful. If you have any questions, you can use the buttons there to raise your hands, okay? Or simply just say excuse me, and I will entertain your question. Okay, so we thank God and Allah for giving us this opportunity. We hope, we can say that we will be able to be a good support to you. I'll do my best, and please don't hesitate to ask questions if you have any issues. Okay, so this is just an overview. It's not like going to change overnight, but if you're going to apply most of these things, most of these concepts and rules in pedagogy, is going to help you in your career. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so when you're going to, Mr. Ami, could you please just do the needful of admitting
I'm
those who
doing it.
are
Yeah, I'm
in?
adding them.
All
I'm
right.
doing it.
Okay, so are you seeing my screen clearly?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we're able to see it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so first thing, we are teachers. Okay, so first thing, we are teachers and we are supposed to maintain a positive and respectful environment. Okay, so it's very important that the first thing you're going to do in the morning when you go to your classroom is to initiate daily greetings. Okay, you greet each student. Okay, so you have to make a rule that the moment they come to school, they have to fall in line in front of their classroom. When it's not yet time for class, don't let the students go roaming around. Like 5 minutes before the start of class, you have to let them fall in line in front of their classrooms. So you should be there at the doorstep of your classroom and instruct the students to fall in line before they go inside the classroom. And you have to practice, if you can, morning greeting posters, put it in front of the door or maybe beside the doorstep or wherever where the students can easily see it. And you establish a way on how you can greet your students. For example, you can make a high five, okay? Maybe you can hug them. This is applicable only for children under grade 3, okay? So you perhaps apply a high five, maybe a hug. This is individual preference of the student. Maybe a dance as simple like that, okay? Fist bump, a verbal salam alaikum or hi, a wave, whatever. Okay, so in this way, we are able to develop communication and relationship with our students in such a way that they feel at ease being in the classroom. At the same way, they are going to be recognized and they know that you are waiting for them. They know that they look forward to seeing you in the morning, so they'll be happy going to school. Okay? So there is a great power in greeting each and every student. If you can do this, I hope that you can try at least. Okay? The power of greeting at the students at the doors, or for the students at the doorstep. Okay?
Okay, before you move on to the next slide, I would like to add something in it here. So I've seen some video clips in UK in some of the schools. So this things is being practiced actually. That is like mandatory over there. That do not let the student go inside the classroom before you. Okay, the student before you should be the first to enter in the classroom, and you should stand on the door of the classroom and let the children fall in the line. Let the children fall in the line. And now here, as Miss Aisha have mentioned, that it is case to case basis, not to everyone you're going to hug. But there are some small children, like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and all. They are still, I mean, they're still young flowers. Okay, you can hug them. You can hug them. Okay, they're female. If they're female, and you can hug them, that is to show love. I mean, like show that they met another mother over there. Okay, so their own mother, they are always being getting scolded by their mother. They're listening something always harsh words and all. But when they come to the classroom, okay, they should feel They should feel happy. They should feel like your warm welcome will give them power. Your warm welcome will give them power. Okay, now how to do the warm welcome? So it is case to base. You need, as she put the sticker, look at her now. She have put 6 different stickers over there. On these stickers there are pictures. Okay, so there is a picture of like this. So this is also a way of greeting, you know, like you're going to do this way and the other one will do this way. So this is also a way of greeting actually. And there is that the way that you're going to hug the student and all, to give them this, or handshake with them. Okay, handshake. This has to be done literally. Okay, so all what we are discussing, it must be implemented. It must be practically, we must able to see it in next day, that you're able to apply it and all. Yes, please, you can move on to next one.
Okay. Another way to maintain a positive and respectful environment with the children or with our students is to give a positive reinforcement. Okay, small efforts like, oh, the child has fixed the chair. Well done, Ahmed. Very good on fixing the chair, okay? Or she helped you erase the board. You should say, well done, good job. You have to reward. In the same way that you know how to reward, you know also how to give punishment properly. So to instill discipline, okay? So the classroom will not be chaotic. And how would you punish a child? You are not gonna beat the child because we'll be filing a case against you if you do that. And it's not allowed, okay? So it's not allowed. Corporal punishments are not allowed. So when we say punishment, it could be, okay, I will not accept you in my class if you do that thing again, or if you disobey me, okay? Or maybe the child is hitting the other child, then you give warning, okay? And afterwards, tell them that if you do it again, you will not be allowed to enter the class, okay? Or I will call your parent. So do not punish the children physically, but always remember it should be a balance between a reward and a punishment. So rewards could also be a piece of candy, okay, or a star, a sticker star, or maybe something like a certificate of good conduct for the week, all right? Or for the child who is the most obedient for this week, this is your ribbon for the week. So it should be also consistent, and it should be for somebody who deserves it, not because that child is your favorite student. Okay, so take note of small efforts and reward this one. This is called positive reinforcement. Even just words in kind or certificates, ribbons. You can always ask Mr. Amir for funds to get these things, okay? We will be very happy to support you.
Well, actually, we provided them already.
Very good.
Then-
Okay, so
yeah.
another way of maintaining a positive, respectful environment with the students is to be respectful in your words. Don't use words that are harsh, degrading, and sarcastic. Okay, always be patient when you talk to the children, because children will really be very talkative and it is normal. But if you set rules like you're not supposed to talk to teacher this way, they will always listen to you. Just set the rules so everything will follow. Okay, you have to set the rules and everything will follow. But you have to be the good example of using good words, and you should be the one to teach them how to use good words and not disrespectful words. They will learn it from you. It is natural that they will learn it from adults, because what adults do, they think it's all correct. So we have to be a good example. All right, another thing, number 2 now is to be consistent with discipline. When you're going to discipline, like for example, the one we have discussed earlier, the first slide. When you do that greeting in the morning, it has to be done consistently on a daily basis. Not like today, tomorrow, no. Maybe on the Wednesday, I will do it. No, it has to be consistent. That's part of discipline. Like letting them fall in line in front of the door before they go inside the classroom. That's already instilling discipline. Okay, not like roaming around 5 minutes before class. Let's say your class starts 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, 7:50, they should be falling in line already and get ready and do as what you have practiced. Okay, so set your classroom rules in day 1. On the first day you enter the classroom, on the first day of your class, you should set already rules. Do not set it after 1 day, after 2 days, after 1 week. No, it has to be all set in the first day of class. For example, if you want to say something, you have to raise your hand. Do not talk if you're not allowed to talk if you did not raise your hand and I acknowledge you. And you have to listen quietly. Keep your hands to yourself. Don't be doing here and there, okay? This is going to be difficult if you just say it. To help you out, you have to post it in the side of the door or somewhere inside the classroom, your classroom rules. For example, come to class on time, be ready, listen and follow directions, raise your hands before you speak. Okay, and many others, as you can see here in the slide. Okay, you create your classroom rules according to the rules of the institution, according to the rules of NAS College, and you put it there, one they can visibly see, the students can easily see, and you remind them every day, and you have to make sure it's going to be implemented on day 1. And you have to be very consistent. What's the role today should also be the role tomorrow until the end of the school year. Okay? If you make some exemptions, there should be a valid reason. Okay? For example, always do your best. And then the child did his best and then he still did not do a good grade. Do not scold the child for saying, oh, you did not do your best. That's a rule. Okay. So what you have to do now is your positive reinforcement. There's always good thing about a child. A child can be somebody who's good in memorizing may not be good in speaking, okay? So we have to recognize that children are different from each other. There should not be only one way of measuring the intelligence of a child. Some children will be good in math and they'll be good in English, but they may not be good in history and many other subjects. Some children will be good in arts, but they're not good in speaking. So we have to recognize and learn what are the characteristics of our students so we can address their needs accordingly, and we can adapt to that and help them grow according to their personalities. Okay? I hope that's clear.
Yeah, it does.
Right. Next, we have to be always prepared as teachers before you go to your classroom. Don't go there empty-handed without anything. At least bring with you something to give your child, the student, like rewards. Okay, as we have mentioned in the previous slides. Also, before class, you have your materials with you. And of course, during the class, do not waste your time. That's the time you can prepare your lessons. Think about what you're going to do, how you will deliver the lesson. And use a daily journal for yourself and for the children. That means you have to have a class record. Okay, class record would mean maybe an Excel sheet. I would advise you to use an Excel sheet wherein you can write the names of your students under your supervision, what are their details, personnel details, and of course, the first day they came, the days they were absent, etc. Okay, so that you should have a journal of their activities. In short, you have to have a class record. We have templates with us. We can send you if you need. I think Miss Sarah can also provide you. It's everything is there in the internet.
Yes, Ms. Aisha, I will appreciate if you could share. Later on, maybe someday you can share the templates that one we have it for the class record. That would be helpful for them. Because for them, that is their first experience actually.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we say we should be ready as teachers, your typical lessons plan of the day should be written in your hand somewhere in a notebook or maybe on a piece of paper. But before you go to class, you should have a lesson plan. When we say lesson plan, this is how you are going to manage the class for that day. Only for that day. That means every day you should have a lesson plan for each subject that you're going to teach. Okay, you can apply the same lesson plans, just change the topics accordingly, but you shouldn't go to classroom without a lesson plan. So what does the lesson plan include? Number 1, there should be an attendance. Okay, so it will guide you on how you're going to perform in class that day as their teacher. So number 1, the first thing you greeted them in the morning, they entered the classroom, and then you set the rules. You're not supposed to roam around once you enter the class. Don't make too much noise. Sit down into your sitting arrangement. Now, talking about sitting arrangement, you have to make sure you let students sit, those who are actually in a good sitting position. What is a good sitting position? For example, don't put 2 intelligent students together. Okay? You should put a student who is not so good beside the intelligent one, so the intelligent one will help the other one who is slow. Okay? Don't put 2 students who are talkative together. So what I'm trying to say is, one of the things that you're supposed to do in classroom management is to fix the sitting arrangement. Make sure that don't put 2 naughty children together, okay? And make sure that their naughtiness is controlled. It's normal that some children are naughty, but you have to make sure that they don't sit together to add more chaos, all right? Now, the slow slow learners should be in front of the classroom, okay? So they can easily adapt. And then after checking the attendance, you're going to say who is present, who is that. So when I call your name, you raise your hand, okay? And then you put it in the journal so you will know what to report to the parent, how many days they came, how many days they did not arrive in class, okay? So that should be put in the record, okay? That's the use of your class record. Also, number 2, after you check the attendance, check for homeroom. That means check cleanliness. I'm not saying you have to clean the classroom. Make the students help you in making sure that the classroom is clean. So you have to tell them, check your chairs. If there are any dirt or many paper whatsoever there, make sure you throw them in the dustbin there in front of the class, okay? So you should have a dustbin there. And tell them if there's any candy wrapper there, pick it up now before we start the class. Make it up, only 1 minute. All right. So then they will make sure that it's clean and the classroom is conducive for learning, preparing their mind to be there in the classroom. Okay. Right. And then before you start the lesson, you create a motivation. This is very important. Before you start the lesson, you have to have a motivation. That means you're going to help the student to be engaged with you throughout the lesson. Number 1, you can start with a question. Say, for example, the topic of the day is about changes in matter, in science, for example. So you would say, what do you think will happen to water if you boil them? So that's a question. That's a part of motivation. Do not just directly go to the lesson. Okay, write this one on the board. Write this on your notebook immediately like this. No, you should have to have a motivation before you start with the lesson. It could be a question, maybe a video, or maybe a picture, or a short story that is related for the topic of the day. Okay? So you can easily find them all in the internet. Okay? If your lesson is about, for example, grammar, take a picture about grammar, etc. So you should have a motivation before you start your lesson. Then you gave already the motivation. You can now go to number 4, your lesson proper. You are now going to discuss the lesson of the day. You can explain the lesson, or you can give the definition, whatever that is going to be discussed for the day. Then after you discuss the lesson, you ask the students if it's clear, if they understood, ask them if they have any questions, encourage them to ask questions. Do not discourage them from asking questions. Do not say, don't ask any questions. That is very, very bad. Okay? You have to ask students if they have any questions and entertain the questions. Okay? Let them ask questions. Then afterwards, okay, before you start the lesson, you have to actually inform them that after the lesson, I'll be giving you a short quiz about the lesson, so you have to listen properly. So they will listen to you. Okay, then after giving the lesson, now you have to give a short quiz. Okay, short quizzes could be only like 5 items because that's only for the lesson of the day. Okay, so like 5 items quiz only. Then after that, after taking the quiz, then you discuss what are the mistakes the students had. If there are many of them, if there are only few of them, let's say you have only 5 students, you discuss the mistakes of each and every student. But if you have more than 10, you don't need to do that. What you're going to do is to say, okay, who got the perfect score? Raise your hand. Who got 1 mistake? Raise your hands. Who got 3 mistakes? Raise your hands. That's it. Okay, and then you'll say, well done for those who got the perfect score. Let's give him a round of applause. So the child who performed well will be feeling that his hard work has been paid with your recognition. Okay, and the others who were not able to get the recognition, they will work hard for their next time. And then you will tell them that you study hard and listen properly next time, so you can have also the highest score. Now, sometimes you can also give like a chocolate to the person or the child who had the highest score, but you don't do that every day, okay? Or else it will become normal and it will not have any value. Do it like maybe once a month or maybe every 2 months, give chocolate. At least because a recognition is very important, and that's also part of reinforcement. After that, you summarize what have you learned today. We have learned what? Then you can ask the students, what did we learn today, etc. Then after that, you give assignment. Assignment doesn't mean you have to force them to write something. Assignment could also be something that would help them maybe just read about the lesson tomorrow, or maybe you would say, if you have learned about the changes in matter, for example. So at home today, list down the things that has changes in matter at home. So it's simply like application of what you have learned from the school, okay? So not necessarily you have to answer pages 1 to 2, 5 to 10. This is not going to help the student. So the purpose of the assignment is to let the student remember the lesson today or to prepare them for the next day lesson. Okay, so that is your lesson plan. Do you have any questions on the lesson plan for the day?
Yeah, guys, anything that you're not able to understand, you can ask actually.
Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am. Everything is
Saba, do you have any question? Ayman, Hafsa, Sarah, Uswa, do you have any questions?
no, ma'am. Everything is clear.
Everything is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I hope everything is clear. Huh?
Ma'am, we have a question.
Yes, Hafsa?
मैम मैंने पूछा था कि अगर हम स्टूडेंट्स को फुल
Can you
लेक्चर दे
speak English, please?
हाँ ओके
Yeah.
मैम if we deliver our lecture full energetic and full of examples and after that the 2 and 3 students will not able to understand it, then what we do in that case?
Okay, so it depends on what the student is saying that they did not understand. They did not understand your example or they did not understand the lesson.
Yes, ma'am. Then what will we do?
Okay, so what you're going to do here, if the student did not understand the lesson, you can ask her or his favorite classmate, okay, that after the class, during recess, on the break time, you have to teach your classmate about the lesson and explain what the lesson is all about, okay? So that's called peer teaching. So you don't need to burden yourself with that because maybe the child needs somebody at her level to understand the lesson. So if that doesn't work, you can follow up the next day. Did you understand already the lesson? Okay, if he still did not understand, you can now do tutoring for like 5 minutes. Before going to school, you have to sit with me for 5 minutes. We will discuss the lesson. Okay, and do not repeat the lesson from top to bottom. Only the portion that this child did not understand. So ask the child what particular area of the lesson you did not understand. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, so before you move on to the next slide, so I will remind them that there is something very important that you have discussed in number 3, that is motivation, a question. So before starting your lecture, okay, explaining them lessons, so always start your lecture with the question and make the question something which will create the interest, okay? Always try to make your lecture or your lesson or whatever you're going to teach try to create an interest, okay? Try to create like a suspense into that one, so they will give their complete attention, they will give complete their heart into that one and all. And give scenarios help to make the children understand. Okay, give examples, give scenarios, give examples. Okay, that will make it easier for them. And always use pictures and videos to make it more easier to understand for them and all. See, we have our senses, and like the hearing sense and seeing sense, vision sense and all. So the most powerful among all these senses that we have, okay, is this one, the vision sense. Okay, something that we see it from our eyes, we don't forget it easily. Okay, something that I heard it, I might easily forget it. I heard we heard a lot of things in a day and all. So anything that we're going to teach, okay, put it into two, what you call, in a 2D dimension way and all, that they're able to hear you, they're able to see you. Okay, look at me now. What I'm using is I'm using my body language. Why I'm using my body language? Because it makes the person understand easily what I'm talking about. So aside from this body language, okay, try to use some examples, pictures and videos and all. I mean, do your best, And then she have already answered the question that sometime, uh, see, you guys are bachelor degree holder, okay? You are not into the level of the children, so, or the children are not into your levels and all, okay? So the best person to explain them the things which they do not understand is the another child of the same age, so that child can make the student easily understand. Yeah. Yes, Ms. Aisha, you can carry on now.
Okay, so I just want to, before we finally move on to the next slide, I want to make sure that you understand that at the end of the lesson, giving the quiz is not necessarily going to be recorded. The only reason why you do that is to measure how much learning had taken place. Okay?
Yeah.
So just only to measure how much they understood the lesson, not just by asking, did you understand? And then everybody will say yes, even the one who did not understand. So if you give a quiz, it will show you really how much they understood. So for the students to easily answer the questions, better to make it in multiple choice questions. Okay? So multiple choice questions are difficult to make, but they are easy to check. But if you make an essay question, it's going to be an easy way of making the question, but it's difficult to check because you will take time to read and analyze the answer of the students. So it's always advisable to create a multiple choice question so it's easier for you to check it. Okay? Right. So moving on. Number 4, in your classroom management, you have to engage all the students, okay? You have to make sure that you talk to all students and make sure that you understand diverse choice of activities. That means you have to make sure that your style of teaching is different from the everyday, okay? So for example, you can do some storytelling. You can also do a lot of activities, okay? Role playing, visual aids, and of course, use technology. And of course, questioning is also very important. You have to use AI so your work will be easier, okay? So we will discuss this in some other time, okay? Using AI. That's also very helpful, but you have to really use it. It's not 2025. It's like impossible not to use it. Okay, it's very important and it's very useful. It makes your work easier. Okay, next, how to prompt. Now, when we say AI, the very common one is ChatGPT. So how will I use ChatGPT to create a quiz for me? So you can make a prompt that is detailed. Now, when you give a prompt to ChatGPT, for example, the AI, you have to make sure you give the information that is needed. For example, here, create a 10-item quiz, okay, about changes in matter for grade 5 students. So you're going to give the students level, what is the topic, how many items, okay? And there should be a variety of question types. You have to give the prompt or command to ChatGPT that I want a different types of questions. Okay, so the AI will do it for you. Then at the end, you have to say, provide the answer key. So now your life is easier. You don't need to think much, but at the same time, you have to review it once ChatGPT given you the questions because it's not yet perfect. Sometimes it's very predictable. So there comes now your intervention as a human being, as a teacher, okay? So question, what are the pieces of information that you have given to AI in this type of prompt? What are the information we have given to AI in creating the quiz for you? Anyone? What are the pieces of information you have given to AI? Can you identify one? Miss Sarah?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you give me one information that you can identify that you have provided to the AI so you can create?
Yes, I will provide the Brisk AI extension that will create the quizzes, assignments.
You can see the prompt here. What information did I
Extension.
give to the AI so it can create a quiz effectively?
Actually, first of all, I will select the grade. Select the grade 1 quizzes. Grade 1 quiz information provide. For example, create a maths quiz.
It's already
You
here
need
in the
to,
screen, my dear. Just tell
you
me.
need you need to give the topic
What
because
is
mathematics
this?
is a broad word. You know which particular topic in mathematics that you
Okay,
see. The
I already
prompt is
have
very important.
I already have put a check mark on these things.
Yeah.
Can you see the prompt? Can you see the
Yes.
prompt? What are the 8 pieces of information I have given? 10-item quiz. That means you have to tell the AI how many items. Okay?
10
Now,
item
if you're going to do
apples,
it,
10 item apples, banana.
What you're saying, your voice is very less. We hardly able to hear you. We hardly able to hear you. Your voice is very less. Yeah, what you're saying?
Can you repeat
Hello?
again the question?
okay,
Sarah, we're not able to hear you.
let's ask Hafsa. Hafsa, are you there?
Sarah, your mic has problem actually. Your mic has problem. Let's change this headphone.
Can everybody type in the chat box?
Okay,
Type
you
in the
can
chat
type there in
box.
the chat box.
Can you please type your answer in the chat box? Okay. Type your answers in the chat box. The question is, what are the pieces of information you have given to AI if this is your prompt? Can you see the prompt and then tell me what are the pieces of information we have given to AI so that it can create for us a quiz? What are the information we have given to AI?
Guys, it is very simple question she's asking you. What are the information we given to AI? There are only five questions or 4 questions were given to AI. Number 1 instruction we given to a prompt. Prompt mean instructions. Okay, so number 1 instruction we given create 10 items. Okay, this 10 item is it's an instruction. Then number 2 it is changes in matter. Okay,
Changes
so
in matter is the topic.
changes is matter. This is the topic actually. This is the topic. Okay, and then the third one it is grade 5 students. So grade 5. So and then next one it is what is that? The variety of questions type. So these 5 instructions we given in one prompt. 5 instructions. So when your instruction has to be very clear actually. Your instruction has to be very clear. Make sure that all what result that you want or reply you want, that reply have instructions over there. I mean, the reply of the should have instructions over there. You cannot ask the common something like create a mathematic quiz for me. That does not make sense actually. So you have to point out that create on so and so topic this many questions, and that questions should have a multiple choices, should have this one and so. I mean, give very clear prompt, will give very clear instructions, so you'll able to get the better result.
Okay, so just for the purposes of discussion,